Hello class and welcome to the Super Mario Bros. 2 walkthrough right here on Video Games 101 by way of Let's Play with Briggins. I'm your instructor, Professor Briggins, and we've got a packed class today as we cover this NES classic. We'll talk quite a bit about it, including why it looks so different from the original Super Mario Bros. A little bit later, but once again we are joined by a very esteemed guest. He's a video game icon, and he was kind enough to stop by and make his second appearance on this channel. He's currently filming the sequel to the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Class, give a warm Video Games 101 welcome to the man himself, Mario. Mario, how you doing?
I'm very good, Professor. It's good to see you again. Mario, he is very tired at the moment. He's in the middle of filming his new movie.
That's right, Super Mario Bros. The movie 2. I apologize, I actually still haven't seen the original.
But it's available for streaming and on Blu-ray and DVD, Professor.
Yeah, I'll probably catch it after class or something, but the audiences, they seem to like it. It seems like it's being well received. The critics, on the other hand, they're a bit more middle of the road, but...
Mario makes easy movies for the kids, for the people, the working man, the plumbers. I mean, what does the critic know about the movies anyway?
I mean, that's literally their job, knowing about movies, but I see your point. And incidentally, I typically put more stock in the audience score for a movie as well.
Darn tootin'!
When they first announced the cast, my first thought was how you felt about Chris Pratt overdubbing your voice in the movie.
Okay, I know where this is going. Mario, no take a debate while his lawsuit is still pending. Let me just say, there are far worse choices to voice the Mario. Besides, Chris Pratt is very hot right now, and Mario means that in more ways than one, huh?
Yeah, he's very popular. But you're pleased with his performance, is what I'm saying.
Oh, yes, of course. It's just the accent, Professor. I mean, what kind of pseudo-Italian-American accent is that? My own nephew, Stephen Mario. He come up to me after the premiere and he said, Uncle Mario, is we not Italian? What do I say to that face?
I don't know, but we do have a class to do, covering another one of your earlier adventures in Super Mario Bros. 2, the Western version.
And Mario figured this was it and we was done?
No, you were here for a class on Super Mario 1, link in the description, by the way. We play through the game, we talk about it, reveal some fun facts.
Oh, you were the guy who refused to warp.
Yeah, we don't warp on Video Games 101, we show you where to do it, but...
No, Sharon, she told me. Okay, listen, Mario, he has to teach Pratt how to butt stomp for tomorrow's shoot, so Mario thought I'd make it back after that, and he'd tell you some stories from this game that'll blow your mind.
Alright, well, I'm looking forward to it. But as I said, we have a lot to cover in this game, so let's roll the intro and get into this Super Mario Bros. 2 walkthrough right here on Video Games 101. Alright, before we get into it, let's take a look at the different characters of Super Mario Bros. 2.
It's time to play Getting to Know Your Mario 2 characters. First we have Mario, the Everyman. This plumber from Brooklyn is built to be the most average of the group, or if you're a pizza dish half full kind of player, he's the most well-rounded character in the bunch. With decent handling as well as movement and throwing speed, Mario is the most solid bet for new players. B tier. But let's not forget about Luigi. Despite being leaner than his older brother Mario, Luigi unaccountably moves slower and handles more loosely. If you can adjust to his playstyle, Luigi's superior low-gravity-like jumping capabilities and hang time give him the ability to make jumps no one else can and bypass enemies and serious chunks of each level. S tier. Character of the game. Toad is one of Princess Toadstool's many indentured servants in the Mushroom Kingdom, making him especially adept at fetching things, particularly out of the ground. No one ever asked Toad for much more than that, which probably explains why he's as useless as he is otherwise. But don't forget to tag him in on level 3-1 to seriously feed your burgeoning gambling addiction. C tier. Princess Toadstool seems like nothing special until you realize she can literally fly. Simply jump and hold the A button to float a few feet above the ground for a few seconds at a time. Just make sure you're ready for when gravity reasserts itself. A tier. This has been Getting to Know Your Mario 2 characters. Good luck in beating Wart in the dream that this whole adventure turns out to be. Oh crap, I gave away the ending, didn't I? I always do that. And the professor's gonna have my nut.
Thank you, announcer guy. That'll be all. Man, hang, handle, and grab. How'd we get away with that? You know, I realize in the intro we forgot to handicap this game like we always do, so let's do that quick. I'm going to go ahead and give Super Mario Bros. 2 a 6 out of 10 in terms of difficulty. There's some difficult platforming, probably not as hard as the original Super Mario Bros., but certainly has its fair share of difficult spots. But as we just covered, Luigi the MVP, so we're going to go ahead, Most Valuable Plumber, and select him as we begin the game with 1-1, and we take a look at the controls here for Super Mario Bros. 2. We have movement with the D-pad. We can duck and hold it for a super jump. We can hold B to run, use it to pick up items and throw items. We can jump with A, pause the game with start. Other than that, nothing too outrageous. As we drop our first potion here to enter the Bizarro World subspace. Let's take a look at the Briggs notes. First, as we covered just now, all Luigi all day, except for a couple instances where we'll use different characters. Number 3 will show that. And then number 2 right there, know where the mushroom locations are in that Bizarro World. Whenever we find a potion, we need to drop it in a certain location to find a corresponding mushroom for that section. So there's 2 mushrooms in every level. The place where we drop the potion is not always right next to where we find the potion if we want to find that mushroom. So just something to keep in mind. For these first couple levels, it's pretty straightforward. It's generally right about where you find it, but they get sneakier as you go on. You see we already did a little bit of a shortcut by not having to go through the first door to work our way through. Luigi just kind of jumped off an enemy's head up to the higher tier of that 2-story building / mountain, and we bypassed a little section right there. Luigi really does make this game a whole lot easier, and speaking of making this game a whole lot easier, let's go to our resident boss expert, Gary.
It's Scary Gary's Boss Beaters. Alright, far and away, the boss you're going to be facing the most in Super Mario Bros. 2 is Birdo. The strategy's not too difficult, though it gets more difficult the further you get into the game, the more complicated Birdo gets, but rule is always generally just jump on the eggs and pick one up, or pick up a nearby block if there's one available, and toss it at Birdo. Make sure you don't throw when Birdo is about to shoot, when the mouth gets or the nose. I skipped that day in anatomy or biology or whatever Birdo is. And yeah, so just make sure that mouth isn't open when you throw something at it. And watch out for flames in the later instances of Birdo when that happens more often. But not too difficult, and it's especially easier when you have Luigi to kind of time your drop on your jumps a bit better and just anticipate that. But not a difficult boss battle, but you'll be facing Birdo a lot.
Thank you, Gary. As we're trying to pick up a couple extra lives here in our early slot machine chances, converting those coins that we picked up. Yeah, a lot of different varieties of Birdo we'll be facing. Well, sometimes the locale changes make things more difficult. Pick up that Pidgeot there and toss it, and just kind of alternate, avoiding the Bezos there. And grab yourself a potion right here and drop it on top of this pot. Go inside, you'll find the first mushroom for this stage, 1, 2. We're going to be showing you where every single mushroom is here in Super Mario Bros. 2 for every stage. The vast majority of the levels, and then pop in the pot here in non-subspace, the real world, to get yourself a 1-up. Drop down in here to get yourself the key. Yeah, most worlds you have 2 mushrooms available. Grab the key right there, unlock this door. Let's go to Blaze early on for an overview of the items of this game now.
Alright, let's talk about the items you will find in Super Mario 2. There's a lot of them to cover, so let's just start knocking them out with some of the most important items you'll find in this game.
First and foremost, I want to talk about the potion, which you can find in some sprouts on every level. There's a few hidden in every level. This creates a door to subspace. Here you can access warps in some cases, coins, which we'll talk about in a second, and very importantly, mushrooms, which, if you can find one, adds an extra hit point to your life. Secondly, we have coins. If you pick up the sprouts in the ground when you're in subspace, you will get a coin the first 2 times you do this with the potion in subspace per level. These coins can be redeemed in the slot machine for chances to earn even more lives, but there you go, the first few very important items in Super Mario 2.
Alright, thank you very much, Blaze. The extra hang time with Luigi, upside and a downside, we can use it very effectively to traverse large sections of the stages, knock out a lot of different sections, avoid damage, avoid pits, things like that. But it also makes it more difficult when you need time jumps to drop down on a Birdo's eggs. Specifically, it's probably the hardest thing about controlling Luigi, but like with any character in this game, once you get a good feel for them, then you'll have a lot more success. We're doing our slot machine thing here. I'm told there's different strategies. If you have a particular strategy which works well for you, class, please leave a comment in the comment sections. I'd love to hear it. I've heard different things. I've tried many different things. Nothing really pays off. I just know that if you bank enough of them, more times than not, or probably not more times than not, because that's just, that's odds and statistics. But every now and then, better said, you will get yourself, we got a mushroom here, you will get yourself an extra life. Any match of 3 generates an extra life. If you get 3 cherries, that is 3 extra lives. That is the ultimate goal every time. Very tricky. Take this potion back to the left here. We're going to drop this up the top section. And then we will have a mushroom right on the edge. We always want to prioritize the mushrooms, obviously, but you have a feel for how much time you have in subspace. You can pick up a few coins, but yes, obviously the health is always the emphasis. I should mention, if you drop a potion right here on this vase, you get a warp down to level 4-1 if you go into the vase in subspace, so something to keep in mind if you want to jump ahead. I gave this game a 6 earlier in terms of difficulty and handicapping it. A lot of that is based on the assumption that you're going to play through the entire game. So, if you do want to skip some levels, that's how I played actually when I was a kid, so no judgment here. I love Luigi for being able to do the super jump without having to worry about stacking any of those blocks beforehand, those acorn blocks. It's nice. I'm going to try not to beat that drum too many times and talk about how much easier or all the jumps that you could only make with Luigi, but it is pretty great, I have to say. And I'm not even a Luigi guy. I have to say, growing up, I was not a Luigi guy, but even I have to admit, a non-Luigi guy. His skills right here in Mario 2. Again, the Phanto will chase you incessantly. He'll be drawn to you as long as you have that key in your hand. Whenever the heat gets too hot, just give it a toss. It makes for a very nice projectile, offensive weapon for tossing into anyone who may be in your way. Now let's throw it back to Gary for our first proper boss of Mario 2.
Boss beaters. Alright, Mouser. Catch the bombs that Mouser throws by jumping underneath them or just lining yourself up. When he throws them, you can grab them. And then set it in the middle of the platform or just anticipate Mouser's movements and place them accordingly. You kind of get a feel for how long these timers last on these bombs so you can drop them accordingly. But yeah, not too difficult, Mouser. If you take your time, be patient, take him down.
Thank you very much, Gary. Very satisfying boss battle, I'd say, here with Mouser. Very easy, but this first one especially. All of the major bosses will be making, well, some of the major bosses will be making follow-up appearances. Not all of them, but some of them. Get a little bit more difficult in the later rounds. We're going to hang with Luigi for a bit longer here. Got a couple few more stages before we make our first switch of the game. And again, Luigi just flying over the enemies here. Princess could do something similar, but the difference is just that Luigi gets more of that air. Whereas, Princess, sure, she gets the hang time, but if you're not far and above all of the enemies, kind of what good is that hang time? Note that the red Shy Guys will go off the edge, whereas the pink ones will bounce back once they hit an edge. It's important to note the difference, especially here. It's unfortunate because the best jumpers, or I should say the best hang time people, in Luigi and the Princess are great for the first half of the stage, but then the digging part, they happen to be the two of the worst, or the two worst. So, I'd say Princess is probably a little bit worse with her hands than Luigi is. Makes sense, he's a plumber. Works with his hands a lot. Watch out for those bullets from the sniffets. Let's go to Fluff for our first Fluff fact of Mario 2 to learn why this game looks so different from the first Mario. Fluff?
Following the huge success of the original Super Mario Bros., Nintendo Rush released a tweaked version of that game with new levels and increased difficulty. They titled it Super Mario Bros. 2 and released it in 1986 exclusively in Japan. Nintendo of America understandably felt the game was too similar to the original game, not to mention a bit too difficult for Western players. With this in mind, Nintendo created a second sequel to the original Super Mario Bros., this one based on a game called Doki Doki Panic. This game was a huge success and was especially lauded for its originality compared to the original Mario.
Yes, it did. Thank you, Fluff. As you saw in our intro on the whiteboard when I was teaching that class, this version outsold the Japanese version 3-1. And sure, you could argue it's because this game was a lot more available. Certainly available in Western markets, whereas the other one was not as easily attainable. But, yeah, just something different. The translation worked very well, if you ask me, and you ask, I think, something like 7 million other gamers of the 80s and 90s who bought this game. Drop the potion right here. Grab a few more coins. Should mention you can only enter subspace twice and get coins. Or rather, the first time you pull a coin in subspace, you can only do this twice. So if you ignore all the plants on the ground in subspace, then that doesn't count against your coin total. But if you pull coins twice in subspace, and then and two separate subspace occasions, and then you go back in the subspace a third time and try to pick up some coins, they'll just be vegetables at that point. Which, that's not a bad consolation prize. Fruits and vegetables very good for you. Plenty of fiber and other nutrients. You gotta watch the red sniffets. They will follow you whichever side you are on them when they drop down. And just because you don't see them on the screen anymore above you, doesn't mean they're not there anymore. We're gonna hang to the right at this junction here and drop down to the door. And while we're doing this, let's go back to Blaze for more overview on the items of Super Mario 2.
Alright, the next string of items in Super Mario 2, we have the heart, which when you kill enough enemies, one of these will appear on the screen. This refills 1 HP on your HP meter on the left. You'll also see cherries scattered about every stage. Pick up 5 cherries, and just like in real life, this spawns a star. And just like in real life, well, it would probably kill you. So the inverse, the reverse, if I may. But in this game, most importantly, since that's what we're talking about right now, the star grants you 10 seconds of invincibility, along with a rockin' Super Mario Invincibility Star soundtrack, which you can enjoy for 10 seconds. Note when it's starting to wear off, be careful. Next, we have the stopwatch, which grants you 5 seconds of freezing time. You get one of these, I think, when you pull up 5 large vegetables. So not sprouts, but 5 of these large vegetables from the ground. The 5th one is going to be this stopwatch. So freezes everything on the screen, including magic carpet. So be careful. I've made the mistake of trying to jump onto a magic carpet, thinking it was going to move, but it did not after I took down the guy on top. Just from a personal anecdote of mine, just be careful. And then finally we have the universal 1-Up Mushroom Extra Life. You know how that goes.
Yes, we do. Thank you very much, Blaze. So you see we had to work a little bit for that particular mushroom. This is a nice area where we don't have to rely on any of these bezos to get extra height. We can just make that jump on our own. And we actually have, besides a mushroom, we have a nice selection of coins right here. I say selection, they're all the same, but there is a good number of coins we can pick up. That's why I ignore the coins on that first mushroom section, because we can get about 7 or 8, depending on how quick you are. And we got a nice thwomp, or a pow block down here. Thwomp, very different thing in the Mario universe. No hearts for that, that's alright. And more digging, unfortunately. It's just not enough to warrant bringing in Toad, I have to say. Just, again, planned for these shy guys to be moving left and right and seeking you out. You just have to do a lot of movement, basically. Know where they are off screen. And then, once you get kind of that one row of difference between you and the shy guy, you can dig anew. So if you're impatient, you just try to avoid him and jump. If you don't mind playing a little bit slower, you can just drop the key, take a breather. You can kind of fake him out pretty easily. Just keep in mind that the Phanto can go off the screen left and right, so he can kind of fake you out a little bit every now and then if you're not careful. Got a couple bosses back to back here, so you want to have a little bit of health banked up. Some insurance hearts, if you will, or diamonds, I suppose, on the left. Missed there. Trying to get that collision so we can... Oop, there we go. Alright, who we got this time, Gary?
Boss beaters. Alright, Triclyde. So this first go, I like to build a wall out of the blocks. You can do this on the second one as well, but it's especially effective the first time you face Triclyde. And then pick up a block, and then just move left, wait for the boss to fire, get on that ledge, toss a block, just avoid the fire basically, and then retreat back behind the wall. Repeat the whole process, take him down.
Thank you very much, Gary. Yeah, the wall, strictly speaking, not necessary, but it's just how I like to do it. And if you need to, you can start pulling from it, but it makes a nice little barrier, as Gary explained. And look at that, we're already into letters for the first time. Thanks to that one section, that one room. Oh. 3 turnips. There's another one. Just pulling these off left and right. I spoke too soon. As I shock you by pulling Toad for the first time, I recommend Toad for World 3-1 and World 3-1 alone. You will see why. We're going to drop down right here. This is not a death pit. I'm sure Toad's heart was in the back of his throat right there. Be very careful when you're dropping off that edge right there. Then count 6 from the right, pull up, drop it to your left, and enjoy. Just start pulling. Toad's pretty much the only character where it's worth mentioning that you can only have 2 coins on the screen at once. So, you're thinking, Toad's the fastest puller, he can definitely pull faster than this. He can in theory, but he can only have 2 coins showing on the screen at once, so. Want to mention you can come back in here the 3rd time, grab that pot and drop it on top of this pot right here, surfboard looking pot. Drop down in there in subspace to take yourself on a warp. That'll shoot you right up to World 5-1 or Stage 5-1. You can bypass a few worlds here. Make this game a little shorter,
ride this Pidgeot up, or ride the carpet of the Pidgeot up. Have to be very careful for the Bezos right here. Stay in the middle. Move left and right accordingly. We shouldn't have to move too much, and then just like an action film, John McClane style. As that magic carpet disappears, he makes that jump onto the helicopter. Yeah, that wouldn't happen to John McClane. He's so short though, Toad. Don't worry though, we can get our heart back right here and then some. He's so short you can't even tell that he's any different, that he got smaller when he takes that damage there. But yeah, drop it right there to get yourself the first mushroom for this stage. 3-1. And that's a neat trick. I think that'll stay there until we pick it up. There you go. And then we have the second mushroom, not too far away here. Actually, it's the stopwatch right there. It's the far left one. And then drop it right about here. We're gonna have to climb this ladder and quickly hurry over to the right. And there we go. We got a full tank ready to take on Birdo. All right, we got 3/4 of a tank ready to take on Birdo here. And yeah, Toad also very good against Birdo, in that he's very quick, gets those throws off quick, picks them up quick. Although I have to say, it's really just whoever you're familiar with and comfortable with. So if you play with Luigi a lot, you just figure out the timing as Birdo just kind of respawns there. And let's see, H, not too shabby. While we're playing the slots, let's go to Fluff for another Fluff fact about Super Mario Bros. 2.
I mentioned how Mario 2 was based on a Nintendo game made in Japan called Doki Doki Panic. Doki Doki Panic was originally meant to be a purely vertical scrolling platformer. It was actually Mario creator Shigeru Miyamoto who suggested introducing side-scrolling mechanics to make it more like a Mario game, and overall much more dynamic with the combination of the two. When you consider all of this, it's ironic that this was the game which ultimately ended up becoming the popular sequel to the original Mario Bros. After getting what amounted to a fresh coat of paint and some sprite swaps.
Thank you very much, Fluff. Yeah, it's a good thing they went with Doki Doki Panic and not a game like, I don't know, Idle Hotline. That would have been weird, but yeah, Doki Doki Panic worked out very well. But let's go to Princess. Straight from Toad to Princess now for 3-2. This is her level to really shine, if you ask me. And you'll see why. As we avoid the Bezos. And we have the first mushroom over here on the right. Up against the corner. And look how she struggles just to lift a simple and light mushroom or coin over her head. Never done a day of manual labor in her life. As you'd expect, she's Princess Toadstool. There's no delusions here, but there is a nice jump where you can fly right across there. She's the only character you can do it with. Keep going to the left. We got one more nice jump to take advantage of her abilities right here. Make sure you wait till the edge. And just like that, you bypass a couple sections of this level. Drop the bomb against this wall. Blow through. And no, it doesn't have to be a jump to get that hover. You can hold A at any point when you haven't used it yet, when you're falling, to give yourself a little extra hover. And make sure that you go ahead and clear out the right side here. And then in subspace, it's going to be reversed. So you'll see now on the left side, we can grab that mushroom. Now she knows how Toad feels, right? Nah, she doesn't. She doesn't care about him. She struggles with the Birdos, as you'd imagine, considering how long it takes her to pick one up. It's much more difficult later on when Birdo's getting more shots off, more unpredictable, more flames are coming out in a smaller window, but right now we can get by just fine. I promise that's the last thing you'll have to lift this entire game, for the rest of the game at least, Princess. Well done, Princess, well done. That sounds very condescending, and it is. I really don't respect her in this game. I'm a Luigi man. I don't respect anyone else. It's not a slight against her. It's a slight against everyone who's not Luigi. So, thankfully Mario's not back from his interview yet to hear me say that. And we've got our mushroom here, and then after this we have a bit of a, I don't know, fortress maze type situation. We're going to show you the most direct route, but while we're working on that, let's go to Blaze for the final items of Super Mario 2.
Alright, the final string of items in Super Mario 2, we have the key, which unlocks the door but attracts a very angry, and jealous moon. Watch out when you're holding one of these. Toss it down on the ground when that moon gets a little too angry, a little too close. Pick it back up when they've gone. But anyway, we also have bombs which explode after a short fuse. You can use them to break down some weak barriers and take out some enemies. Then we have the POW block, which when you toss it on the ground, it kills all enemies which are either on the ground or the wall at the time you throw it down on the ground. And then finally, the most rare item in the game, the tortoise shell, which when you throw it, just keeps going, taking out every enemy it hits in a line. You can use this to create a lot of chaos, take a lot of enemies, get one of those extra hearts to refill some health. Just have a good time, basically. The items of Super Mario 2.
Just have a good time. Love it. Thank you very much, Blaze. You can see that if you thought to bring a ninja with you to the top of that last area, you can enjoy a substantial shortcut right there. We recommend it. You can only take part as Luigi, of course, so yet another reason why he's so important. Patience is the key right here, and you can enjoy a little miniature shortcut right here. And no need to crouch for these jumps. Just a little speed will give you the height that you need, the lift on these jumps. And no Birdo this time, just go straight to the right. And we'll be ready to take on our next boss. Yeah, we have a retread boss this time. Mauser 2.0. I suppose it's more difficult because they don't give you the bombs to pull from the ground, but again, you just avoid the spark. I think he takes a couple more bombs this time around as well. I like the color scheme this time, like the green ears, little green accent trim, the gloves, the shoes. And there Mauser goes, Mauser 2.0. Last we'll see of him in this game. So the second warp was in 3-1 where we made all that bank. If you pick up the potion, instead take it to the right and drop it on top of there's a vase there, then that will take you ahead to 5-1. And then I would take the 5-3, which took me the rest of the way to 7-1. So ultimately I only had to play, a handful of levels overall, I suppose, or I made my way through 3-1 so we get all those extra lives. But back to the icy level where traction is hard to come by. It's hard to say if Luigi is kind of a good idea or a liability when it comes to these icy levels. With his slower reaction time, his slower handling, takes him a little bit longer to get going. His acceleration is not quite as good. But again, I think if you just have the handling with any one character, then you'll be in pretty good shape as hey, planting rocket ships in this part of the world. Interesting. Not very reliable rocket ships, by the way. I don't know how Luigi knew to get out at that time, but just got that plumber instinct. He knows when it's about to blow, I suppose. And those things that the Shy Guys are cutely riding, those are called auto bombs, I believe. They're firing really inconsequential fireballs, which don't have any effect on us. Hey, how about for a change of pace, we go with Luigi again. 4-2. Second, the middle of the ice levels here. There's 20 levels all total. So this is a dangerous stretch if you couldn't tell. It's like rush hour for the Bezos. Everyone's getting out of work. Although technically I think their job is to kill me, and
They're on the clock right now, but there's a lot of them. I like to run right through it, but I think the best strategy is probably just to take your time, go slow, and react accordingly, ducking or jumping to thread that needle. In the door we go. It's usually the place where I'll lose a life. But we're intact at the moment. Be very careful, obviously. The mushroom on that single block of the tail of this little whale here. Very cute. Got the water spouts, which if you run into the side of them, will do damage to you. Make sure you're underneath them. We have another potion right here. You can grab yourself some coins, or alternatively, you can take the potion over to the right here, and you'll see beyond a few more of these whales, there's going to be a spot. 5 whales here. This might be the last one. There's a spot for a jar/surfboard. If you drop the potion right there, you can head down, and that will give you yet another secret warp area, which will take you all the way to 6-1. So again, jumping ahead a couple worlds, but again, we're showing you everything here, so ride this across. We can drop this here to get ourselves the final mushroom. And while we do this, let's get another Fluff fact from Fluff.
This was the first game to feature Toad and Princess Toadstool as playable characters. In subsequent remakes of the game, Toadstool went by her name from the original Super Mario Bros. In Japan, Princess Peach. This is also one of the few Mario games in which Bowser doesn't appear.
So sorry, while I got you, Fluff, is that the only difference between Toadstool and Peach? Just the translation?
Yeah, it really is just that, Professor. It translated to Toadstool when they brought it over to America, or that's the name they gave her, but really they ultimately ended up sticking with the Princess Peach moniker moving forward. So Toadstool, very popular obviously in the mid and late 80s, and that's what kids of that generation grew up calling her, but overall, she is always going to be Princess Peach.
Thank you very much, Fluff. That's one of those things that I always felt, a little embarrassed to ask. So why not ask it during class in front of all of our students who expect more from me, and certainly expect me to know that, but thanks for setting that straight, Fluff. I always had that hunch. But there you go. Yeah, Toadstool growing up, but Princess Peach. Got a nice cushion now of 20 coins to work with. Are you volunteering, Luigi? That works for me. You know how I feel about you, so let's continuing on. It seems like things maybe be thawing out a little bit here, so we go to the left. And obviously that's the place for the mushroom. And just a Birdo with no crystal ball. Birdo with no purpose. Except their purpose is to create this egg that we can float across the sea with. Man, the power behind that nose, you have to imagine, for that egg to just keep traveling. Presumably around the world, if nothing got in the way and stopped it. It's incredible. One of those marvels of the universe right there, the natural kingdom. The animal kingdom. I think we could put Birdo in the animal kingdom, right? Not sure there's any scientists who would take issue with that. Any zoologists. Gotta watch out for these guys. They're full-on red shy guy with a head full of steam. They will not stop at the edges, in case you haven't noticed. I'd like to see them do some synchronized skating. Maybe an Olympic event just for that particular breed of enemy. Flurries, I believe they're called, appropriately, given the climate, the environment. So pick up this potion right here. Carry it all the way up here. We can stand on this top of the fortress. And then we're just going to drop it right here near the edge. And then grab the mushroom, which is right at the very edge. And remember the rule? The red shy guys are the ones that drop off, so that's the one that we'll be riding here. They don't seem to mind. And if they do, they're too shy to say anything, let's be honest. Grab ourselves a key. Enjoy some more sort of synchronized flurry activity there. There we go, that worked out pretty well. Also buys us some time away from the Phanto. Just gonna drop down here. This is a nice defensive item to have if we should need it. Like right here, just to get rid of it. Get the heat off our backs. Press on right through here, and it's time for a new boss this time. So let's go back to our resident boss expert, Gary, and see who we got.
Boss beaters. Right, Fryguy. Retreat to the sides in the first phase to avoid the damage, and then create a lot of space between you and Fryguy before you pick up a block and throw it at him. So, just want to keep safe in this first phase. Fryguy can't chase you off the screen, like you can go to the left side, back to the right like that. Fryguy can't do that. The same cannot be said in the second phase, where you want to drop the blocks in the above area down on the little flames, or just, keep the distance, maintain the distance like in the first phase, but toss those blocks. Just keep in mind, the little Fryguys can follow you left to right off the screen, so that tactic doesn't work quite as well, which is why the height advantage is nice if you can drop them from Fryguy from above.
Thank you very much, Gary. So Luigi, very useful in stage 5-1. Speaking of 5-1, I used to, when I would do my warp as a kid from 3-1 to 5-1, you'd bank all those coins as Toad in 3-1, and then you wouldn't get to redeem them until the end of this stage. So, by the way, you could pick up a Shy Guy here, or the Ostro to hit that Panzer, makes a nice practical weapon to get through, but you can add some extra coins here at the start. There's, I guess, 6 if you do this twice, exit and re-enter. So you grab 12 more coins. You get into a silly coin total, essentially, if you really rock it just right. Get into some funky letters, but anyway. With a full head of steam, you can make a jump from this platform just fine as Luigi without having to worry about jumping on the trouters there. Get to this platform here, and you'll get a 1-up in the middle. And a potion, which we can drop right here to get the first mushroom here in 5-1. And then just, stay high, get some speed. And now we want to be on the right side to drop this, pull out this block. And you'll see why. We drop the potion that's right here. And now, because we affected the environment there, the mushroom is able to drop through, and we now have a full set of 4 health to go in and fight this Birdo with. Very angry, malnourished Birdo from the looks of it. Very gray. You can't tell me that's a normal diet when it's constantly spitting out nothing but fireballs. The block is the only offensive item that you have in this section. Don't wait for any eggs, they will not come. So yeah, with that warp, after 5-1, this can be a very long slot section of the level. Just coin after coin after coin. I think TUV, thereabouts, that's pretty much my record. If you really leverage as many coins as possible when you're in subspace, but stick with Luigi here for 5-2. So being that I did play 5-1, 2, and at least the first part of 3 as a kid constantly, I know these levels very well. I know that Luigi is an all-star right here. Not a hoopster like these guys. It's an all-star. So we just power right through. Mind the bombs, which have been carelessly planted in the ground. Whose sick joke is that? I wonder. These are poor Koopos, I believe. To get the porcupine, but then I guess maybe a Koopa reference? I'm not sure. King Koopa obviously does not exist in this world. Many of his minions do, but See, there's no Koopa Troopas. Alright, Pele, just grab the mushroom. Luigi getting fancy there. Mario Soccer would not come out for some time. Alright, so after we get that first mushroom, the second one in this level is pretty sneaky actually, and kind of annoying to get to. You might be better off just skipping it, because it's kind of dangerous, because we need to come back in here and grab another potion, which is fine, that's not the difficult part. Holding on to it is the difficult part. If you want to hold down on that grab button as you pick it up to ensure that you're constantly running, not the worst idea, because you're going to need to be running all the way past all these hoopsters. The more speed you have, the easier it is to get around, but there you go, that's the location of the second mushroom here in 5-2. Got a firing squad right here, be careful. Gotta thread the needle. Everyone climbs at the same speed, in case you were wondering. You probably weren't, but just to let you know. It's not like Toad makes up for his lack of almost everything else, skills in every other category by being a pro at the rope in gym class. Not so much. But we can say, for a change, he's not worse than anybody. Speaking of threading the needle, this is where we want to avoid the needles. You can see, go through that left slot first, kind of hug to the right, and then mold back to the left, and you'll get through unscathed. And while we're taking on another Birdo, let's go to Fluff for another Fluff fact about Super Mario 2.
This version of Mario 2 came out in Western regions in 1988. Incidentally, this was the same year that Super Mario 3 came out in Japan. That's a full 2 years before it would finally make its debut in America.
That makes sense now that I think about it, as I always wondered how Mario 3 was seemingly finished and on display in 1989's The Wizard.
That's right. Just don't try playing it with the Power Glove. It really is so bad.
It really is that bad. Thank you very much, Fluff. It's so bad that we used Power Glove thumbs downs to describe mostly Toad's lack of ability in this game. But I suppose, on the other hand, we needed a thumb. We used a thumbs up too. Anyway, I digress. You can drop a potion above that vase and warp ahead to 7-1, as I often did as a kid, but we're just going to keep on trucking here. A very dangerous, bomb-infested part of this level, thanks to the albatrosses above us. Grab the first mushroom right there in a very dangerous area. Just try to get in there with at least 1 health. Get that top off. We want to bust through this wall here. Now that we got that wall out of the way, we can come down here and get this mushroom. The extra health becomes more important on these later levels where, the obstacles are a bit much. Got more of these bombs just passing through. It's kind of sad their one purpose in this world is to explode and, I suppose, consequently die. Heck of a life. Alright, so this part we can take a little shortcut here. It's a little tricky. We can stop this up, but we can also, if we... There we go. And then this is a nice little shortcut, so we don't have to go down and around like they intended you to do. Work smarter, right? Not harder. That's how we do things here on this channel. Minus taking warps, of course. Avoid the flower like so. Kind of fake it out one way, let it drop, so it's no longer an issue. Making pretty good time, I have to say. to imagine anytime you don't die through the first almost 6 worlds of this game, you're making pretty good time, but... Let's not delay on this magic carpet, but again, the nice thing to beat that drum one more time about Luigi is when it's about to go, you can have the longest jump out of the whole crew. I suppose Princess's hang time would have something to say about that, but still. Either's a good option and not worrying about falling to your death when the carpet starts to give out on you a bit prematurely. And I think after, with this being 5-3, after we take down Birdo, we have another new boss. So let's throw it to Gary and see who we got this time. Gary.
Boss beaters. Clawgrip, Clawglip. Pick up the rocks after they bounce off that wall behind you. Don't throw when Clawglip or Grip is about to throw something at you. That's the best way to avoid the damage. Every now and then, you can toss one if they're throwing it at you, and it'll bounce off theirs and sort of negate that. And if it hits them, it'll still do damage to them, but I much prefer to wait and time the timing just right so that they throw that block, brick, whatever you want to call it, the rock, and then, then we get our toss in. So just be patient, get the rhythm down, don't take any damage, don't take chances, take down Clawgrip/Glip.
All right, thank you very much, Gary. All right, kind of that clash and crash, man, effect right there. The R's and the L's in Japan. Clawgrip, Clawglip. And forget if I mentioned this, class, but yes, again, like to solicit, in case I didn't, anyone who has any tips on the slot machine, let me know. Not that we're exactly hurting for lives right now. And we'll stick with Luigi here for 6-1. The final full 3 levels of this game, the last world with 3 levels, and its complement, I suppose, is the best way of putting it. I'm going to take this potion outside of this vase and drop it right outside on this little skeleton. Note that, this little rib cage, note that the sand still exists in subspace, the quicksand, better said, so that'll start sucking that mushroom down, so you have to be quick to grab that. Nice to just time your jumps, get some speed, and just jump on the heads of the cobrats there. And we have another jar here, another one which is debatable as to whether or not you want to bring it over here. It's a little dangerous, but if you can get that jar over here, this is where you'll find the final mushroom for 6-1. We have a whole, it's like a vase collection, a museum of vases right here. I'm going to go in the 5th from the right, I think it is. It's just to the right of that snake. Another Fanto in waiting, as you can see right here. And of course, his precious. See what we can get out of here without taking any damage. Kinda trapped us in the corner there, that's okay. Get the heat off for a second. Door's right here, so. And yet another Birdo. Not sure he's gonna come all the way to the left here, so we might need to move a little bit over. He's not stupid. Or she's not stupid. This one's been waiting around in the same toxic waste that those Abobos from the first Double Dragon were in. I do appreciate that philosophy, though, of game developers. I just throw a different coat of paint on it. It's a different enemy, right? I don't know, it's different enough for the kids. They'll appreciate it, or they won't notice. I don't know, one or the other. It'll keep them happy. Just like Throwing a whole new sprite set on the same game in Doki Doki Panic. Hey, whole new game. Ship it. Sells 8 million copies, just like that. How about that? As we ride the very slow albatross here. Gotta watch out, there's gonna be some traffic the other way. There's really no order in the flight paths of the albatrosses, with the Bezos on top of it. So this is probably the only stage where I actually recommend that you don't go into subspace. The mushroom would be right there next to where we dropped that jar, but you then have to wait for an albatross to fly you back to the left before you can head all the way back to the right. It's also the only potion and mushroom that you'll find here in 6-2, so just wanted to point that out. So this fight might be a bit more difficult with only 2 hearts, but again, you'll probably burn at least 1 health just trying to get back, going the other way. So not worth it in my opinion, but wanted to point out that's where it was. Yeah, no albatross is flying to the right except for the very start of that stage, unfortunately. Here we can use the height to our advantage and drop down the blocks, or the block, on Birdo's head, but I find it's more effective to just stand at the edge right there and wait till they come over to the edge and just drop one right there. No coins that time, obviously. As we head into 6-3, let's get one more Fluff fact with our resident backfinder, Fluff.
There are some errors in the end credits, such as labeling Birdo as Ostro and vice versa. Hoopster being labeled the much more epic NBA-ready name Hoopstar, and of course the Clawgrip mix-up.
Yeah, saw Gary earlier, unsure if he should go Clawgrip. Careful, the sand moves very fast in subspace there. Thank you, Fluff. Excellent work today. So, this is the one level where we can't show you both ways. You can go to the right, and that's the long way. I prefer this shortcut by going under the sand here, kind of Super Mario Bros. 3 style. Or I guess Super Mario 3 was this game style, but so we're going to miss out on a mushroom by not going the longer way, but we get a shortcut to the boss of World 6 right here. Just too much fun to pass up this little shortcut right here, but wanted to mention that. We are saving some time as we have fairly straightforward Birdo. You can let these bounce off the wall and still catch them, just get that timing right. Obviously with Luigi's extra hang time is more sluggish movement speed there. Gotta jump a little early, anticipate dropping in just at the right time. So got another Triclyde here, and once again we're just gonna build our little wall, and gotta be careful because we have a finite number of blocks to work with right here. Thankfully he doesn't take 5 hits like some of the other bosses at this point. We can get him with 3. And hiding behind the safety of our little makeshift wall. There we go. Once again, for 7-1, we're going to take Luigi, and you can actually do an early shortcut here and avoid going to the right at all, but a bit more quickly with Luigi by using his little crouch jump and getting on one of the albatrosses there. But we're going to head to the right and show you where to get the mushrooms here on 7-1. They can be useful for the back half of this stage, actually, for what we got coming up. But here's the first one. And the second one's going to be in a little house that's all the way to the right. Then we can take one of these albatrosses and ride them all the way to the left, climb into a rocket and fly up to the second part of this stage. One thing at a time, though. And there's that final mushroom. This will be the final stage where we can actually play the slots after it, so last chance to get a few extra lives. And once you come out, just ride this albatross all the way to the left, the highest one you can find. I always like to try to head off that jump as quickly as possible so that we can
getting to the rocket. Always tried to hit one of these albatrosses. Never did anything for him. You might have to do a little hop there to get over that. And then just try to keep him on the screen while still getting in the rocket. And yep, it's satisfying, but nothing comes out of it. Anyway, this is where you might want to be armed for this. Take a sniff it or something. A lot of shy guys coming out of these pipes here. Sometimes just having one will negate having... Alright, well that kind of worked against us. If we go to the right here, we can kind of scroll it off the screen, but yeah, Luigi's moveset, his speed, and just the way he handles is just ideal for getting through there, and certainly doing some power jumps here for making this a little bit more straightforward as we show. And I'm being told that Mario might be coming back. Is he done with his...
Mario is here!
There he is. Mario's back, everybody.
Oh, you finally given my brother Luigi a look. Thank you. That ought to be good for his confidence. Very good.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
You thinking no one like him because he had no Mario?
Yeah, no, I got a brother too. I know what that's like. So anyway, now that I got you here, Mario, what are your memories of this game? Tell me.
Well, Mario, he very tired when he making this game because, see, he was busy making Mario 3, and then in the middle of that, they tell Mario, oh, you gotta make another Mario 2 because Western players, they're just not good enough to play the original Mario 2. So, me, my brother Luigi, the princess, and Toad, we all had to work overtime making Mario 3 and remaking this other game, Doki Doki Panic, as Mario 2.
Oh yeah, Fluff mentioned that as one of his facts earlier.
Oh, sorry, I missed a cat. But just like that, Professor, see, we put out the same game with the Mario's face on it, and all of a sudden this Doki Doki game, it's a mega success because of Mario. And nobody ever accused Mario of a whitewashing.
Yeah, but I...
And Luigi, he play a woman. It was the 80s, Professor. No one batted an eye. It was a different time. Things were okay, and I think we need to get back...
Whoa. Okay, yeah, that's cool, Mario. Can we get back to talking about the game?
How come you know he's Mario here?
I just... You know.
It's the final level, Professor. You gotta use Mario.
We used you a lot earlier.
Mario has it on a good authority that you know I used Mario once. What's the matter? You have a problem with weaning?
Well, actually, we're working on a no-death run, so we haven't lost yet.
He's a no-winning unless Mario is involved.
Well, listen, Mario...
You make Mario very sad. Mario leaving.
Wait. Mario, can we get you to make an appearance when we do Super Mario Brothers 3?
No, Mario never do this channel again. See you next time.
What? So we will see you for Mario 3?
No, it's just a Mario's catchphrase. F*** off, Professor.
Okay, it's just... Sorry, class, when Mario tells you to F off, it takes a second to come back from. Anyway, there are 2 mushrooms here in the final stage. I'll be showing you both, even though, strictly speaking, I think you're maybe better off just grabbing this one here and going straight for the final boss, but might be a bit more dangerous than it's worth to collect both of them, but we'll show both for what it's worth. Sort of a miniature maze, this final castle, Wart's castle, but yeah, drop down to the bottom of that area, go to the right and grab this jar, or potion. Grab a coin for the way home, and yeah, grab your first of the 2 mushrooms here. Safer to grab yourself an enemy here and toss it into this panzer than trying to climb back up without taking it on first. Don't want to undo the progress, the hard work we put into getting this mushroom in the first place. Just one hit is all it takes to negate that work, so actually, the one good thing I can say about going to get both mushrooms in this stage, and the reason it might be worth it other than the fact that you're obviously going to have more health to take on the final kind of gauntlet of bosses, if you will, is that we can backtrack here, because if you kept going up there, arguably the most difficult platforming stretch of this game, the different sparks which were roaming the platforms, if you continued on that way, are very difficult to get through without taking any damage, so we're going to backtrack this way, head down, and safer to just... Alright, well, that was Alright. That's alright. Well, now we definitely need that second mushroom. That's alright. We'll show you how to do this part if you have taken quite a bit of damage and are very low on confidence at this point, but just hurry down this way and time that block on the sparks. On that spark. And that one as well. Pop in this door here. And this is going to be a little tight. Playing jump rope here. Go through this door. And thankfully we have our, make sure you grab the one on the left here. And we have our final mushroom. Could not come at a better time for us right here. An extra coin for the ride home. A couple coins for cab fare to get back to World 1-1 or however that resolves, wherever we came from. So yeah, this stretch not nearly as difficult as the sparks early on, because you're safe if you're in the middle of these chains here. Just be careful you're not out too far to the left or right. And then when they're all closed in, you can just climb straight up. If you time that star just right, you can use it to your advantage in this room, but not too difficult, honestly. Nowhere is this. Just kind of makes me feel like the Sniffets and Shy Guys getting a little exercise here. Getting prepped for the fight with Mario, and then, ironically, we just run right by him. Well, ironically, Mario's not even here in this game. No offense, Mario, even though some was clearly taken. Again, remember the pinks do not come off of their platforms. You just run right by that Birdo if you time it just right, just like that. There's no incentive to fight that one. Like one we have upcoming, you just duck and move as the opportunities arise for you here. And this is the Birdo which we need to fight. Like to just make sure we get that one egg and then try to move them off screen. Yeah, a little impatient there, but that's alright. Like to have as much health in the can as possible, so now we got the 3 health that I'm accustomed to having at this stage in the game. And let's throw it to Gary a little bit early for this next boss. Gary, who do we got?
Boss beaters. Right, Hawkmouth. Getting a little tired of us climbing in and out of its mouth over and over again. Can't say I blame him, so he's coming after us this time. So, the way I like to deal with Hawkmouth is to keep a lot of distance between us so he comes in at us at full speed. Jump past him, let him go past you right or left, pick up a block, and then kind of repeat the same process so that you have time and you can align that throw when he's turning around and at a slower speed, so you don't have to worry about dodging as well, giving yourself plenty of time. Just repeat the process, use the full length of the room to really create a lot of space between you and Hawkmouth, but 3 hits will take him down, by which I mean he'll open his mouth and take you to the final boss, Wart.
I thank you, Gary. Why don't you take us home with Wart right now?
Boss beaters. Right, speaking of Wart, the final boss. Catch the vegetables from the pipes, but prioritize dodging the bubbles that Wart will belch on you. It's kind of disgusting, very unsanitary, but stand next to the column once you have a vegetable and just wait until he comes to the edge when he's about to burp. Anticipate when he's going to open that mouth and toss in and throw it before he gets a bubble off. You can, in some situations, still get that vegetable into his mouth depending where he is after he started blowing some bubbles, but it's a lot safer and easier to get it in before he's thrown any bubbles out. Just repeat the process. If you're fast enough, he won't get shots off at you, at least shots that are likely to hit you. Not too difficult, but congratulations if you take him down. You've beaten Super Mario 2. Good work.
Thank you very much, Gary. Yeah, that really is the key. Just be patient. Hang out right here at the ledge. You have an extended kind of flashing period once we do take him down, but When the camera stops moving, that's when you know you've beaten him. It's on autopilot from here. I think it would take even Toad that long to get the cork off of that. There's all the little sub-cons. Luigi very excited about being the major contributor. Yeah, it's probably best Mario wasn't around for this. 0, 18, 1, and 1. As they carry Wart's carcass off to the right to presumably carve it up. Yep, there you go. All the Who's in Whoville will eat tonight. It's kind of the vibe I get. They're all praising us as gods. Mario's like, I was here. Look, waving to the people. But wait, turns out, even though announcer guy already ruined it for us, it was all a dream. Really love this music here, this kind of lullaby. Like a music box. He wakes up for a split second. Huh? No? No. Back to sleep. I love it. Back before it was a trope. Well, I guess it was a trope even back then. Wake up. Oh, it was all a dream. At least midway through. But there's your cast. Mario, Luigi, the princess, Toad, and the baddies. See how many of these I got right, or better said, how many I got wrong. Got the Shy Guy, got the Sniffit, Ninjai, of course. Love these names. Bezo. Anyway, while these are getting... There's poor Cupo. While these are going through, thank you so much for attending this class. This was a fun one. I want to thank all my TAs, and I guess Mario too, for another interesting appearance here on Video Games 101. Speaking of which, if you have not yet already done so, please subscribe to enroll in this class. We do one of these classes every single week in the same spot. We'd love to have you along. Get notified every single time you put up a new class. Well, there's Birdo and Ostro, as Fluff mentioned. Yeah, they got those flip-flopped. Autobomb. Cobrat. That's the name of him, Cobrat. And the boss is Mauser. Fryguy, love Fryguy. Clawgrip, Fluff mentioned that as well. Triclyde. And of course, who could forget, even though you don't really see him much, guess he had a little cameo in Link's Awakening. As, Mamu or Mamo? I forget, it's the Japanese translation basically, but there you are, that's our time for this week. Leave a like on this video, it really does help us out to keep making subsequent classes for you good people. We'll see you next week in the same spot for next week's class. Hope to see you then. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and comment on this video, and click subscribe if you haven't already, as this seriously helps me to keep making great content for you. And check the description of this video to see what song is playing right now.